Get in here, yeah!
All right, guys, just made it back from Florida. It was the first tournament of the year, the Major League Fishing Tackle Warehouse Pro Circuit. Had a great tournament down there, started out on fire. I was 28th after day one with a big old kicker. Lost a big fish day two, slipped back to 38th place from 28th. And then the last day I make that day three cut, got a lot of bites, but just no size. Still ended up in 41st out of 162 pros. Great way to start the season. Caught a lot of fish, doing it the way I like to fish. So I'm gonna run you through here how I caught him. You're gonna see a bunch of the better catches. And at the end, I'll run you through the tackle, tell you exactly what I caught him on. But starting off, hey, you can probably hear the wind noise and stuff here. I'm back in Texas. You all heard about the epic snowstorm we had. You know, it's been a roller coaster. Now that south wind's blowing, it's almost 80 degrees here. Same in Florida. I went down for pre-practice in January. I found some clear water, some great looking spawny stuff, but the fish weren't up there. I found them in round reeds, kind of the maiden cane, outside of spawning areas, 3 or 4 feet deep, and I could flip them, caught them all okay, but I had the sense they're gonna be moving up. When I come back, when it's warmer, it's gonna be good. Well, Florida gets a big epic cold front, and it's pretty tough down there. And our first day of practice, you know, it's starting to warm up. I'm trying the reeds, I'm not getting bit. It's a slow day. Day two, I moved up shallower. I got on the inside wall, like that swamp wall, and I'm seeing fish, you know, a couple pairs up there trying to spawn. And I start throwing a swim jig, covering what's called wire grass or needle grass, real shallow, like 2 or 3 foot stuff. I'm thinking the spawn deal is gonna be going on. Covered a lot of water with that. That really wasn't going. Day one of the tournament, I started with that swim jig and the deal, the deal trailer on it. I can't get bit on it. A couple other guys fishing around, they're not getting it. So I thought, hey, let's move back out to the reeds where I caught them in pre-practice. Maybe the fish would just drop back a little bit. And sure enough, flipping into that heavy cover, big old braid on a flipping stick, the way I like to fish, they start biting right away, and it's point blank, just let it rip right in front of you. The action takes off right away.
Look, Tom!
Thank you. I don't know. I like venison, but the
You got him. Boy. All right, Tom.
I thought he was
Oh yeah, he's a spotlight, isn't he?
yeah, there's a decent largemouth population with a lot of spots. They're decent size. They get some.
Oh, there you go, Tommy. Nice, buddy. That's a 4 or 5. That's a boy.
How about that?
Nice, brother.
He
Good job.
it's in front of that little where he had those sight fish, and then you know the reed. It's right there. I'll say that.
Hey, there you go, Tommy. That's a boy. A little better.
Yeah.
Shit. Thought dived on myself. I'm not laughing.
Yeah. He's just make it's gonna be right now because.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So as you can see, the flip bite's pretty good. It's fun. There's a few of us going around there, and I started to dial in the exact reeds. They're right on the edge of the spawning flats. The reeds right on the edge of that wire grass or needle grass. That's where the fish were staging. The better females were there. And I'm getting some decent ones, but now I need a better one. Like I said, I'll cover the exact baits at the end, but basically I'm flipping just a Texas rig. I went from a creature bait down to the General, flipping out a braid, a little bit lighter weight. It's time now, I need some females, time to upgrade, and sure enough, as the sun gets up, the big fish show up, and I really start getting into them. Yeah, that's the hard thing about spread that.
Good one, Tommy. Boy. Boy, that'll help you. Nice. A little bit.
I like it.
One, Tom? Oh, that's him, baby. Get him in here. Come on, get in here. Nice.
He's one of them.
That helps the cop.
Yeah.
That helps the cop.
Yeah.
Good job.
What are you catching? Like, just get on the flats. Just go sight fish. Just go look for them.
Yeah.
And I said,
Are we cooking with oil, baby? We are. Yeah. Come on. Get in here. Yeah! Ding Bingo, baby.
Yeah, that's the one I was talking about right there.
I might get a picture, guy.
Well, you can see there, I got a good upgrade, and then I got that big kicker. Man, that was a fun day. Finished up at 28th place. I felt like I'm getting enough bites. More fish are coming to me. I have a chance maybe to keep steadily moving up during the tournament. Knew I could get limits. I just need that kicker bite. So, of course, on day 2, what do you think I did? I run right to the same group of reeds, that big group where I caught that big fish the day before. There was another great big fish caught just down the way. I'm all jacked up right out of the gate, flip into the reeds. Guess what happens? Not gonna lie, that one hurt. That was a big fish. I set right away, and with that 50-pound braid and that flipping stick, I mean, you can feel, and it's not just the dead pull, but you can feel that fish's head snap back and forth really wide. Maybe it was 4.5 pounds, maybe it's 6.5, maybe it's 8.5, I don't know. But that was a great big fish to start the day. That's kind of a bummer, and that ended up being the only great big bite of the day I got. But I knew I was still in contention, put my head down, and started plowing through a lot of good fish. Well, after a while, I have a limit, but the bite really slowed down. The sun's up, it's warming up, the big fish should be pulling up. They're not. And the bite's just, I mean, it's grinding to a halt. And that water, Okeechobee's kind of fickle. Depending which way the wind blows, if it's blowing from the main lake's really muddy. It'll push that muddy water in there. If it's blowing out, it takes that clear, that tannic kind of dark clear water that those fish down there love, and it blows it out. So you get more clear water, and that's kind of what happened on day 2. It's pushing pretty hard with the wind, and it's cleared up. I'm not getting bites. I go from braid, straight braid, which is kind of what you need down there. I went to straight fluorocarbon. Now, not finesse line. I use 30-pound trilene fluorocarbon there, so it's a pretty big line still. It's actually leader line I was using, and flipping that in there. Once I switched to that, I instantly start getting bites, and I'm fishing all around people. Going from that braid to the fluorocarbon works. I start getting some more good fish. Man, catching those fish out of the reeds is pretty fun. Making that switch to the fluoro definitely helped, got some more bites, but I went around in circles, and it was apparent by the end of the day, there were a few of us in that small area. I was fishing about 15 reed clumps, and more fish were pulling up that day, and I'd pretty much squeezed all the blood out of that stone that I could. Ended up the day in 33rd, losing that big fish obviously cost me. Went back there day 3, and there were 3 of us that made the cut in there. 2 other great fishermen, and the bite just wasn't going on. I got a lot of bites, actually got more. Fishing that fluorocarbon helped me get a limit, but it was small. It was like an 8-pound limit. Never had a good bite. Basically, I just ran out of fish, and it was weird because some of the other areas where guys did well kind of reloaded. Our spot, for whatever reason, the wind changed or whatever, wasn't there. I ran around a little bit, but Florida, you kind of have to camp on those key areas, and I kept on getting a big bite every day, and I was hoping sooner or later I'd get that big bite. Day 3 didn't happen, ended up in 41st place, but a great tournament to start nonetheless. So now that we saw the catches, let me run you through pretty quickly the tackle that I use. Pretty simple, basic Florida stuff, but darn did it work. And I was actually catching more fish than the guys around me. A fun way to fish, so maybe some of this will help you out a little bit. Well, as for tackle, like I said, I was flipping, started out with the braid, and early in the mornings when it was fish more active, definitely the braid, you get those fish in better. I was using 50-pound. This is a new prototype braid from Berkley, and they haven't told me all the details on it, but this stuff is pretty badass. So let me just put it that way. I have to be frank. I mean, it was ripping those fish. The only fish I lost all week was that one big one, and it wrapped around a reed where not much you can do. Outside of that, I mean, this stuff, I retied in the evening each day. That was it. It's pretty tough. It yanked him out of there. I was using the Rocket. It's a 10-to-1 reel. So when I pitch, I'm not horsing those out with my reel. The fish themselves have to swim out. The rod, you know, I pull it out with the flipping stick. The Rocket, that 10-to-1, I can reel in my bait, make the next pitch a lot faster, so that's less dead time. And what happens a lot of times, you pitch into the reeds, you feel a thump. By the time you set the hook, that fish is run halfway back to the boat. That's a lot of slack in the system. He's coming right at you. Those fish, you just never catch up and get them. The Revo Rocket, that 10-to-1, that's all I flip with these days. That takes away so many of those lost fish where you just can't catch up to them. And that's a key. I mean, those big ones especially, they jump right out of the docks, out of that lay down, and come right at you. The Rocket really helps with that. I'm using the Abbott Garcia, the Fantasista Premier. It's their top of the line flipping stick, 7.6, extra heavy. I mean, this thing, you can see they're sun faded. This is either second or third season I'm using these things. I mean, you see the corks chewed up and stuff. These things have power lux in them. They're meant to take a lot of abuse. The sinkers are hitting them and stuff. These things hold up. No BS. I haven't replaced a single guide on them. If you're looking for a really sensitive, lightweight, durable flipping stick, hard to beat that. Now the technical part of it, like I said, I was using the braid for the longest time. The first day and a half, I switched to, it's the trilene fluorocarbon. It's the Pro Spec. It's actually leader material, so it's a little coily. You know, flipping it, you're gonna get a few more backlashes, but that stuff, I defy you to bite that 30 with your tooth and try to cut through the line. I mean, you can't do it. You're gonna break a tooth. That stuff is so thick. There again, I'm not retying. I'm not losing any fish in there, any abrasion. That stuff is super thick. So for whatever reason, the fluorocarbon, you can get away with that big diameter, and I don't know if it's the sound of the braid maybe in the reeds. I mean, it's that, it's like you're sawing wood. It just saws across, like through the water. I don't know what it is, but when it gets tough, a lot of times switch to fluorocarbon makes a big difference. And the other thing I was doing, a lot of guys were pitching big weights. You know, Florida, everybody goes down there. A finesse is 3/8. They're using a 1 ounce to punch. That's the finesse punch. Guys are using a lot of 2 ounce, sometimes even 2 1/4, 2 1/2. I was using primarily a quarter. An 1/8 was just too slow. I couldn't get down. There was a lot of wind. I did go up to 5/16, 3/8 a little bit. My bites went down. So using that fluorocarbon, using that smaller sinker, that definitely seemed to help me get a few more bites. Now, baits were pretty simple. The guys around me, a lot of them were catching some big fish. I saw an 8.6 get caught. You know, there were some quality ones being caught. And the beaver type baits, I started off with this, and in pre-practice, this is how I caught him. The Creature Hog, and I was actually putting a punch skirt on it, or the Pit Boss. You know, your traditional type creature baits, punching that in there. There again, a lot of pressure. Okeechobee is one of the biggest lakes in the country, but the key areas are where there's clear water and a wave of fish have moved up. And these guys, these pros are so darn good. Everybody lands on those same few schools. There's boats all around. So on a regular Tuesday, you could get away with heavy line, you know, the braid, a 1 ounce sinker. They would smoke this. When you get top pros all around you the whole time just beating on them, and it's the same if you're in a high school tournament, your local club tournament, it's a Saturday and the lake's just busy. A lot of times you got to go finesse. So my primary weapon, it was the Berkley MaxScent General. It's a stick bait, has a ton of stink on it. These fish, you saw in the video, a lot of these were spawning. You let them sit. That's when that MaxScent, putting that scent out there in the water, that's when that seems to make a difference. I started off with the 6-inch size. It's not necessarily the profile's bigger. It just weighs more. You know, a 6-inch stick bait like this, it just casts better. It punches down into the holes better. So I like the 6-inch starting off. I can get away with it. Once that slowed down, and especially when I got into that fluorocarbon and I had to really finesse them, I went to the 5-inch size. And the crazy part, I was biting the head off on these, and you see it's thinner, it's just smaller, but I was biting the head off and getting it down to like a 4-inch size even. With that 1/4 ounce weight, these are fairly dense. They're still gonna like punch into the holes, and then they slither down and they just sit there. And the key was let it sit there in a spot, a lot of times 3 to 5 seconds. You're pretending the whole time you're bed fishing, you can't see it, but every hole in the reeds, you pitch it in, kind of lift it over a reed, let it get in there, hope it's right in front of one, lift it a little bit more. So you're not covering a whole lot of water. I'm just picking apart these reeds, and there's no rush because guess what? As soon as I got to the end of them, I turned around and fished them again, and then turned around, went back. That's all I did for 3 days straight. I mean, so monotonous. I ran to a couple spots just to have a change of scenery, but I mean, it's slow fishing. In that case, you don't want to get in a hurry. Just leave it in front of it. Assume there's a bed there. A couple last shout outs, and I know this sounds like a shameless plug, but hey, I'm pretty excited about it. It's my first year running lithium batteries. I went to the M-Tex. It's guys from Lake Erie that fish on that go crashing across those 5-footers all the time, and have pretty much destroyed boats and trolling motors and batteries and all that, and said, we need a lithium battery that's bulletproof, that can take like a ton of G's hitting right there. And these things are. I wasn't gonna switch unless I was fully satisfied with it. My buddies that are running them are all 100% sold on them. I was so impressed with them. And the neat deal was, what happens, we're all running 4 graphs, you're fishing the same area, like I said, the whole day. I was lucky enough to catch my first fish most days within 15 minutes of being in there. So I turn on the live wells right away, I have 4 graphs going, and I'm not running around. Make 1 or 2 hops per day. The power pole charge, that new charging system, when you run your main battery, it charges the trolling motor batteries as well. When you start up your bigger engine, it's powering your trolling motor batteries as well. And when you're sitting there, it strategically takes energy from your cranking battery to your trolling motor batteries as needed until your cranking battery gets too low. It keeps you fresh. I didn't have to worry the whole day about running out of trolling motor power, and I was running through thick grass the whole time. And then at the end of the day, I didn't have to worry about, I've been sitting in one place most of the day, not being able to start it. Tell you what, that system with that Garmin Force trolling motor, everybody asked about that. You can run like 30 to 50% power running through that thick grass the whole day instead of having to run it on high. So it's a pretty cool system. Those days that you're nervous the whole day, you have a good bag, and then you're like, man, is that gonna crank at the end of the day? Am I gonna have to get jumped off? Can I even get in? Not a problem. That M-Tech, the power pole charge, and that Force trolling motor, I'll tell you what, shameless plug, but it's a pretty cool one. Check it out yourself. Great week, like I said. Hopefully you enjoyed the catches. Man, that's like just caveman fishing, point blank range, and hammering them. If you like what you saw, give me a like, give me a sub to the channel. Try to do a few more of these. Good luck. If you get down to Okeechobee, try it out. Hopefully you can catch the big ones too. See you guys.